I was always too shy to go out for the high school play, but I had somehow found my stage, and each arrest was like a standing ovation.
We're about to go into the deep end of the pool here. This is serious. If I take this envelope and leave, this time tomorrow her head is in a Winn-Dixie bag. The rest of her's pig slop and Opelousas. Now be absolutely clear with me. Is that what you want?
I got this woman, she's into this iPhone swiping. This boyfriend finding, right? And she's slinging a kitty across the causeway with this manager from the Piccadilly and then want to take everything, too. Now, I don't know how things work where you from, but from around here, you don't take a man TV, his dog, and his boat. There's no way, T. Kill us.
With pleasure.
Hello and welcome to Book versus Movie. This is a podcast where we read books that have been adapted into movies and then we try to decide which we like better, the book or the movie. I am Margot P. of ColoniaBook.com and this is my good friend and co-host Margot D. of Brooklyn Fitchick.
Hi, everyone.
We were just saying before we got on the air, it's officially summer.
Yeah.
There are things I like about summer, but I'm really a fall, winter person.
Yeah.
Myself. That's when I'm like energized and I'm all excited about stuff. But summer somehow it scrambles my brain. But I'm excited to talk about today's. Listen, if you've tuned in, maybe you've seen this movie and you love this movie and you didn't know that it was based on a book, and it wasn't. Exactly. We do a brand new episode. We try to do a brand new episode every single week. That means that we've expanded what we mean when we say book to mean any kind of literary source. In this case, this week's movie is based on a magazine article that came out in Texas Monthly. We talked about Texas Monthly recently when we talked about Bridges of Madison County. It came up.
You're right.
Yeah, there's a really steamy story about our author from that episode in Texas.
Robert James Waller, and we forgot to mention his name when we talked in that episode. I didn't realize until later.
Oopsie. That's a very interesting. All of a sudden I was like, why am I reading Texas Monthly so much lately? That's why. So this week's episode, the movie is based on a magazine article that came out in Texas Monthly. It is Pride Month, so we'll talk about what we'll be doing for Pride after we finish talking about this week's movie. But if you have suggestions for future episodes, especially during the next month, is still kind of loosey-goosey, still looking for ideas. If you have suggestions, you want to meet other listeners of this podcast, interact with us, there's a few places where you can do that on the internet.
We have a basic Facebook page. Be sure to like it. We're much more interactive in our Facebook group. So you type in Book vs. Movie Podcast Group in Facebook and ask to join. And we really do just talk about books and movies there. And we love getting your suggestions. So please feel free to send them along. We're on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. And there you spell out book versus and movie. And then we have an old-timey email, bookversusmoviepodcast@gmail.com.
And if you really enjoy the show and would like to help keep us in books and movies, you can also support us on Patreon.
Like Libby did. Thank you, Libby. We have about 8 years worth of shows on our Patreon page. We have about 170 episodes there because we've been doing this for 10 years.
Yeah.
So everything like from 2021 and then previous to that, we're putting on our Facebook wall. our Patreon wall. So I want to just mention the episodes that we've recently put up there. Fantastic Mr. Fox, Argo, The Little Prince, To Serve with Love, A Streetcar Named Desire. And next week, we're going to have The Fast and the Furious. That's also based on a magazine article. So all you that do that, please, thank you so much. It really helps us get the books and the movies and pay for those kind of costs. And also, if you want to help us another way, you can leave us a review. So wherever you get your podcasts, if you could leave us stars or review, that would be amazing. Or ask for some stickers. Send us an email, ask for some stickers, put them on your laptop, go to the coffee shop and look cool.
So this is based on a true story. As we said, it came out in Texas Monthly. I really love when we do films that are based on magazine articles. They're always very interesting. Generally speaking, when we've done a film, and we've done a lot of them now that have been based on a magazine article, the writing in the article is usually pretty darn good.
I mean,
right?
excellent. Yes. Yes. Our author is Skip Hollandsworth. He's a reporter for Texas Monthly. He is originally from North Carolina, and then he moved to Texas. Lives in Wichita Falls. It's a big state, in case you don't know, in case you're outside of America. It's actually a very large state. They kind of have their own kind of culture there. And they also
really is its own thing.
It's its own thing. I mean, people have expressions like Texan, American by birth, Texan by God. There's everything's bigger in Texas. They don't mess with Texas. There's a lot of like Texas, and so they have a lot of true crimes that happen in Texas, and they have their kind of, and a lot of Texas Monthly articles. I've just been a big fan for many years. I just love magazines, but they have exceptional writers that work at this magazine. And like Margot said, a lot of, times when we were talking about movies that are based on a magazine article, we love it because the writing's so good, but also gives us a chance to kind of really dig in and find out other facts. And a lot of times it's based on a true story. And that's kind of a fun thing for us too. So this article was with Skip Hollandsworth. It's Texas Monthly. It comes out in October 2001. The thing to remember is the date that's on the magazine is usually it's published or put out on the newsstands a few weeks before. So this probably dropped like the second week in September. That's when it was on newsstands. It's the same year as when 9/11 happened. So I wonder if this just kind of got lost in the sauce because we were...
A lot of things did.
Yeah.
We've had a few things like that where we're like, well, I don't remember this.
I don't remember this movie.
Turns out it's in that era that
Right.
We were both living in New York at the time, and so it was bigger fish to fry.
Right.
And he's had a couple of things go to film or television. Very good. I mean, it's a great article, and we're going to spoil everything. By the way, we're going to spoil both the real story and the movie. So if you don't want the Hitman spoiled for you, just come back later, and we'll have fun talking about it. It'll be great. That must be what happened. That must be why.
It's just like it's the first thing that popped in my head because I worked in magazines.
Yeah,
and I was at a magazine at the time that happened. So I'm curious. Like October issues tend to be like the before times, and then around December and January is after 9/11 happened. That's when a lot of magazines. Anyway, so this is when it came out. So it's like over 20 years ago. Based on Gary Johnson, he lives in Texas. He was a Vietnam veteran. He served in a police force for a little while. He was in the military police when he was in Vietnam, and then he served a little while in the States. And he was a college teacher, a professor, and he got in with the local police department, became friendly with them. And basically over time, he's a man that's been married 3 times and divorced 3 times, And then he's a single guy in his 30s or 40s, has 2 cats, and he teaches college, and a nice enough guy, but he has this hidden talent for acting and hidden talent for doing accents and makeup and doing performances. And he's they keep saying in the article, he is the chillest dude alive. Like he is...
Yeah,
you can't ruffle his feathers.
No, he's very like down to earth, not a hitman type.
No,
I guess. What else? They also call him like the Laurence Olivier of his field or something like that. He has this talent that probably would have gone completely untapped had he pursued, had he put that volunteer energy elsewhere.
It's astonishing. He has this ability to talk to people and communicate. He communicates very well, and he can has empathy for people. Or sympathy, maybe that's more like it, but he can kind of mirror himself with another person and get them to draw out of them. And so the cops hired him to basically be this intermediary, when someone is looking for a hitman or a hit person to take out somebody, he is the person they go to. And so you pay him money, and then he will take care of whatever you want him to take care of. He wears a wire, or there's wires around him, and then he sets up the sting. People ask for the murder, and then the cops come in. They go to trial. There's one woman who said she wanted her husband killed. She was a millionairess, and she blew blood in Houston, that oil money. Said she wants her husband killed, and she got probation for like 2 years, and then somebody else was put away for 80 years. So our justice system. It's sort of like, the way the jury reacts to the story and who your defense attorney is. But anyway, the whole point is that he's a very mild-mannered guy, and he had 70 times where he was able to get people arrested.
70 times.
Yes. And just kind of
70.
think about that. And apparently, I've been doing a ton of research. If there were some times he was in very dangerous circumstances.
I'm sure there had to
Yes.
be.
I mean, I was, it's Texas, y'all. They could carry guns there. They do. They have them on their gun racks on their cars. I mean, he meets people and he talks about something super scary and they give him money and he has to set things up. He manages just to do it, and he doesn't get too emotionally involved. There's one case where he talks about there's a woman who had an abusive boyfriend and she wanted to get him killed, and he was able to talk her into going to get some therapy and get some help and got away. But he said like a lot of his clients or like the people who called him were people who never even had a traffic ticket in their lives. All of a sudden, you just want them a problem and you want it erased. And that problem is a person.
Yeah.
And it's shocking to think about, but it's a great story. It's a great Texas Monthly story because, like we said, it's a big state. There's a lot going on there. There's different personalities there. And it takes off. And so
we really need to talk about Texas because some more, because is anybody involved with this film that's not from Texas is what I want to know. Like, it's so Texas. So we have, it's a Texas Monthly. It's a Texas Monthly article that takes place in Texas. That in the movie, it's
New Orleans
that he's supposed to. I don't know why, but okay. We have our writer, Powell, Glen Powell. Guess where he's from, Margot?
Austin.
He's from Texas. We have our filmmaker,
Richard Linklater.
Guess where he's from?
Austin.
Of course, our our main. He's a journalist, I guess you want to call him, and he worked with Richard Linklater before. So
they did a movie called Bernie with Jack Black and Shirley MacLaine.
Yes.
So it's not the first time he's adapted material. Normally he does his own stuff, Richard Linklater. So it's like Dazed and Confused, Before Sunrise, that whole trilogy, which I love. School of Rock. What am I even thinking of? Like, that's a huge one that he did.
Oh, what about Slacker? Remember Slacker?
I do remember. That was our generation.
Mm-hmm.
So he and Glen Powell are friends. Glen's 34, and he was in the Maverick movie. He's in a rom-com that came out this past year with Sydney Sweeney that I haven't seen, but everybody tells me is great.
Nor I.
But I will call it, I think he's going to be a movie star. He's great.
He's great.
And he also played the movie about NASA and the women that were the...
oh, yes, he's in Hidden Figures.
Hidden Figures, thank you. He plays John Glenn. He's the one that calls her. And he says, I feel bad about my performance because I was so young and blah, blah. I'm like, no, it was the script. You were fine.
It was not.
It was not you. You were not the problem.
It was not you, Mr. Powell. You were fine.
You were great. That's not even the issue at all. Glen and Richard Linklater are friends, Glen Powell. And Glen Powell, it's the middle of COVID, when we're on lockdown. You and I are putting out a show every week. And he's saying to him, like, I just read this article. And have you ever heard of it? It's called Hitman, because he's just looking for stuff to do. And he's like, yeah, that came out when you were in junior high. I remember reading it in real time. And they created the script. They co-wrote the script together. And so the actual story is Gary Johnson, very dangerous job. He's apparently a very chill guy. He was an expert at disguises. He was an expert at accents. He could stay in character no matter what. He was shot once, actually, which they don't mention in the article, but I found out, it's someplace else. He was shot once and he was in dangerous situations, but he never shot anybody. He never killed anybody. Record is clean there, and he passed away in 2022, but he was in contact with Linklater and I believe and Powell before they filmed it.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so they were, but only by phone because maybe they just signed up during COVID and maybe they just didn't have a chance to meet up.
Yeah, that's probably why.
But part of it is the action, unfortunately, had to move from Houston to another city because in Louisiana they have all those tax breaks. So a lot of
Oh, this is true. Yes, especially and also after COVID, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I remember it's now coming flooding back to me now that, trying to get the film industry going again. And there were certain places where you could go where they were giving you a lot of perks to have your production there.
It's like Atlanta, Georgia.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Louisiana. They definitely are like, yeah, come film here. We'll give you everything you want. So they filmed this in Louisiana, in New Orleans. And so should we play the trailer?
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to play the trailer now for this amazing movie that's on Netflix.
You enjoying your pie?
All pie is good pie. So, am I the right guy to eliminate your problem?
This is good.
Apple peaches, pumpkin pie.
So we move the action to Louisiana, and we focus. And it's a rom-com. It's also like a thriller. It's a comedy. It's sexy.
Yeah.
It has some. I really enjoyed this movie, by the way.
I enjoyed it too, although it definitely zagged where I thought it was going to zig, I have to say. I thought we were, I don't know why, maybe because of the article, maybe because of the magazine article. I thought we were driving to sort of like a Black Klansman kind of a town. Like I thought we were driving towards that. So when we deviated from, is his name Gary?
Yes.
Johnson? Okay. When we deviated from Gary Johnson's real life, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay, we're forgetting that part. We're going to be over here now. Okay, got it. Okay, fine. Love the cast.
Yes.
I was baffled about the New Orleans choice because there's nothing. We're in New Orleans, but I didn't feel like we were getting a lot of New Orleans.
Yeah.
Because to me, like if you're in New Orleans, like I want to see some New Orleans. There should be some color, some
accents.
jazz, something. Give me some Cajun food or something. I say that like I've ever been there. I've never been
either. I'd like to go.
Never been. That's why I have the little fantasy about going to New Orleans. But I love the cast.
Yeah.
I would have liked a little more locations, I guess, is what I'm saying. The script is good. The cast is good. The comedy of it, I think, is really funny and great. I mean, it's super fun. You watch all these people get thrown in jail.
Doesn't tell, but I'm a hitman.
Meet the hitmen.
I am Nico. I'm Gary. I'm Tanner. I'm Ron. You don't need to know my name. Call me X. Preferred method.
How do you dispose of a body?
Little bit Baryshnikov, a little butcher. My approach, I like to call the Sigma suicide. Has to be clean. No psycho. Separate the head from the body, do what I like to call a bayou burial. Teeth. Teeth are a f***ing problem. For me, dancing is all about eye contact. I'll do whatever it takes to give my clients a clean start. Take the law in my own hands, you know what I mean? Vigilante justice. The music did get me excited. Blank Space, Taylor Swift. What a vibe.
Let's just start with he plays. Yeah. So in case you hadn't read the article or you're curious about the movie, he plays a professor in college and he teaches philosophy. And he's just talking about people and objective truth and do you really exist? And philosophy's not my strong point, and it's
nor mine. Yeah.
And it's not usually my interest, but I think I would like it if you were my teacher because the way he presents is really nice. But he's a nice guy that gets caught up in this sting in New Orleans, and they have a really great cast. Retta, the comedian Retta, she's
great in this.
She's so good in this.
Great. Yeah.
She's the woman in charge. There's a person named Jasper that's a cop that had the job, and then he's very problematic. So they hire Gary because Jasper doesn't show up one day. So Gary just wings it, and Gary's just a natural. So then they're like,
turns out he's great.
He's great at it, and he, like I said, he can do any accent. I love is it Prussian? Like there's like a Persian accent he's doing. I don't know what it is.
It's
Parisian.
So
I mean, it's just a he's from Bruges. Like I don't know where he's doing.
The idea that what's fun for us as the viewer is he's going into each situation as the kind of hitman that person is expecting to meet. And sometimes it's just a regular guy, just kind of a dude bro. Sometimes it's somebody from a different country with an accent and who's kind of a little odd. Sometimes it's an older person. Sometimes it's a younger person. Sometimes it's different. We've got all the hair game going on.
Yeah.
So it's very fun because we're only glimpsing these people. We're glimpsing that at pretty much the lowest ebb of their entire existence. We're only hanging with them for like a single scene, basically. We know where it's going. We know they're going to end up in jail. And so all we're doing is enjoying like, oh, so she's really interested in having a guy with a weird scar and like a missing tooth. Huh. Okay. What's that? I wonder why is he thinking that? Obviously this is what she was expecting. And why is that? And you're trying to figure it out. And just, all the different people who want to get somebody killed. Now,
and how cheap it is. I was like $2,500.
This is the thing. I was watching this with Todd.
Oh my God.
I was watching this with Todd, and that's the part. This is one of the things that, like, I guess. I mean, he was a real guy and 70 convictions. So obviously, yes, I found it very hard to believe. And also he goes on there, and I don't know why we have this moment. He goes on and on about how hitmen don't actually exist, which, okay, if they don't actually exist and the person doesn't actually get killed, then why are we devoting all this time to throwing these people in jail? It's a little hard. I don't quite get it, but also for so cheap.
Yeah.
Like you're going around killing people for like, there are easier ways to make a buck.
$2,000. I mean, like, how long is that going to last you?
Honestly, like just the meeting time alone that you're having to invest into these people, it feels like quite a bargain. If I were putting it,
but I liked the scene in the magazine. I don't know if they do it as prominently in the movie, but it's the very wealthy woman who wants her oil rig husband, and in the magazine they make it very clear. Like she just starts. He says, "How much you going to pay me for this?" And she just starts taking her jewelry off, and it's like $200,000 worth of jewelry.
Yeah,
her engagement ring.
Yeah, she's in the movie, but it's not quite like that.
Because she was a famous case in Houston.
Yeah.
That was a big deal because, once again, she only got, like, probation. And she definitely, like, was caught on record, like, wanting her husband killed. They got divorced. Shocking. But, yeah, all these people are meeting
those kids couldn't work it out? You're kidding.
Crazy kids. But he does meet a woman named Madison, who's played by Adria Arjona. Is that how you pronounce her last name? Arjona. So. She's beautiful. She's
gorgeous.
It's gorgeous.
She's good.
She's great. They have great chemistry.
Yeah, I like her.
Yeah. So she wants to divorce her husband because he's abusive, and she's scared of him. And then he basically talks her into just leaving him to not kill him, and so he kind of ruins that bust.
To me, makes sense.
Yeah.
First of all, we know the real Gary Johnson actually did a very similar thing. He sees this woman. She's already in a terrible situation. What she really needs is to get out of the situation. Murdering the guy is not going to improve her situation. And she's already gotten this cash together. You could take this cash and actually make things better in your life. And at that point, I'm like, yeah, totally. Yes, get it. I get it. But then where it progresses from there, I was like, what?
Yeah, they have a relationship. So she thinks he's a hitman and he's keeping it going because it's fun for him. He feels sexy and cool, and she's a beautiful chick, and they have chemistry. And so he's like, sure. And so they're like into role playing, and they're having, a great time.
Follow me to the upper deck.
First class all the way.
Shh. Sir, please unbuckle your seatbelt. It's for your own safety. We're expecting heavy turbulence. So prepare to brace for impact.
I guess I'm having a hard time. I had a hard time with it. I think they're both doing a great job. But number one, she thinks he is a murderer.
Yes.
And even if he's not a murderer, which we know he isn't, we know he's a good guy. Like, we established that he's a good guy. And we solidly believe that he's a good guy. And he's a little bit caught up. She's super pretty and she's paying attention to him. But they have this, like, again, I hesitate to call it a relationship because always they have a lust for each other, for sure. But he knows that she has some serious problems that need some working out.
Yeah.
She was going to hire a guy to kill her husband. Like, that's not just like, oh, your car broke down. That's
their meet cute.
trauma. So, and we know that he's a good guy. So it's hard for me to believe that he would not feel like he was taking advantage of her, and feel bad about that.
I think I'm in love with you.
That's always a leap. And for the record, I think I'm in love with you too. For better or worse.
We can agree this is kind of the worst, right?
Right.
So we're in this till the end. Till death do us part.
Yes. Because I don't believe in divorce. I'm kidding. So do we agree on the terms?
I do.
I do.
Where do I sign? Anywhere else I need to sign?
Initial here.
And then the other thing is, like, do we ever see them until the very end? And again, we're going to spoil absolutely everything.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like we don't see them having like a actual relationship of
A deep quality? No, it's sex. It's sex.
Yeah.
And and they enjoy each other. I mean, she thinks he's a different name. She thinks he's a different profession.
She doesn't know who he is at all.
She doesn't. And so he's lying to her when he's...
And he knows that she has some, like, real stuff that needs working out.
So she...
And maybe shouldn't be in a relationship, like, just right this second. Exactly. Yeah.
But they have a chemistry. We have to go with the movie.
Yes.
So
okay.
She brings home a gun. And he's like, "What do you need with this gun?" And she's like, "Oh, well, in case he, comes by, I got to shoot him, don't I?" That meaning her ex-husband. So they go out and they actually run into the ex-husband, and then when they're out to dinner, so he's sore about that for some reason. But then Jasper shows up. The coworker that he took over for the hitman job at the police department sees them together, so he realizes they're seeing each other, and he's wondering, like, does she know about him? So he's now going to blackmail Gary for lying to this woman. Now, Madison, and this is where the movie like takes like a whoa turn, is that this is her ex, or soon to be ex-husband, wants to hire him to kill her, Madison. And that's, and Gary has this freak out, and the guy says, "Oh, never mind, I'll just take care of this myself." So then Gary's like, "Oh my God, we got to take care of," So he tells her, "You're not going to believe this, but I'm not the hitman."
You don't have to be scared. Why would you be scared?
Because I killed him.
You killed him?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
You told me yourself he was gonna come and kill me.
So he was attacking you as like self-defense.
Technically.
Technically what? What was he doing?
He was either passed out or asleep.
And you killed him?
Yeah. I made a story and they're believing it.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Why are you getting so worked up about this? You do this shit all the time.
I don't do this all the time. I've never done this. I've never killed anyone.
What are you talking about?
I'm a fake hitman. That's why I didn't put you away. I didn't have you arrested because I was working undercover.
You're a cop?
No, I teach at a college. This hitman thing's just like a part-time gig, just gotten out of hand.
So you've been lying to me this whole time?
I was stuck. I didn't want to lose you. And you met Ron first, and you liked Ron. I liked Ron. So I didn't want to show you Gary.
Who the fuck is Gary?
I'm Gary.
I don't even know your name.
My real name is Gary Johnson.
Gary.
I know.
She actually confesses to him that she shot and killed her ex-husband because he was going
He
to
turns
have
up
her
dead.
killed. Yes, he shows up dead. It's New Orleans. You could say, well, in certain neighborhoods, there's drug activity and people get there is high crime in New Orleans. So it's suspicious because he had a $1 million policy, and
She
so
was the beneficiary.
She's the beneficiary. So Gary's like, hey, did you hear about the guy? And she's like, yeah, just so you know, I killed him, but just, you understand. And he's like, why did you kill him? Oh my God, And that's when he explains to her, I'm not what you think I am. I'm not this hitman. I'm actually somebody I'm a police officer. So then she's really screwed because she thought he was going to like protect her. So Jasper comes in on them and then he's attempting to blackmail them. And then as they're talking, I feel like the movie's missing a chunk because it kind of goes very
I felt like
quickly.
I was like, "What? We're here now? Okay."
I mean,
yeah, I agree. I don't know. Maybe it was longer and they took some stuff out. I don't know because I do have a heart. I mean, again, having established what we've established about Gary, he's a super good guy. He does like helping people. I feel like the moment. First of all, okay, maybe you're caught up with this woman,
right?
Because he has a whole deal, like his marriage fell apart, and he said there's a lot of stuff. Then when the husband shows up to hire you to kill her, like to me, that's the point. Gary's like, I can't be around. This ends now with all of these people. You're going to jail. You're going to jail. Everybody's going to jail. So I do have a hard time reckoning what we've learned about Gary with the things that
And
Gary's
Madison,
doing at
I
this
guess we
point in
don't
the film.
know her very well, but like
We don't know her at all.
right. So we spoil everything. So Jasper has them in her apartment and he's like, I know everything. So this is how it's going to happen because I know you got some money coming to you. And all of a sudden he's wobbly on his feet and he's slurring and he's and you're like, what's going on? And that's when Madison says to Gary, oh, I drugged his drink. So he passes out on the floor and then Gary's like, what do we do? What do we do? And then Gary ties a plastic bag around his head. And they're just going to let him die.
So
They're
now we're
killers
just killers
now.
She's now killed 2 people.
Yeah.
And he has killed a person.
And then it goes
Okay.
and then he has her and then the cops are trying to figure out like what's going on here. And he basically has her he holds up his phone and it's basically it's printed on the phone. They have the place wired. Like, just say this, 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 and this. And so she's saying, like, I can't believe you would accuse me of doing anything. I didn't hear about anything. He's like, fine. And so now she's not a suspect anymore. So very quickly, we go right to the next scene, and they're just married and have 2 kids, and they're in this very
House
nice
they
life.
bought with the insurance money, I guess.
I guess. And she has
I
bangs,
guess.
and she's there. The kids are like, "How'd you two meet?" And they're like, "Aw, well, it's a story." And that's the story. I mean, I still enjoyed it. I mean, but
with wackadoo, but yes, it's very fun and everything. But it doesn't just forget about it. Just go along with it. It's fine. Just going along with it, and it's fun and just yeah, because it's not. Don't try to sense it. Don't try to make sense of it. It will not. The pieces will not fit.
At first,
I mean, we just don't know anything about her, and they're committing murders together. We don't even know, by the way, if what she told him when she was quote unquote hiring him, if that was even true.
right.
We don't even know if the husband was actually abusive or not, or what was actually going on there. We never actually find out. We only have her word for it, and she has killed 2 people. So, okay. It's a movie that it really doesn't, like I said, it zags when you think we think we're going over here now, and no, we're taking a sharp turn because here we
Gary
go.
decides he's going to live with passion. That's what he
Yes.
decides, that it's not just
With the
objective
murderette.
reality. Right.
Fine.
I'm just going to jump right in and live life big. And this is, that's my lesson to all of you. And I kind of appreciate that in a way, like it's film noir. Like it doesn't mind having,
Totally.
people that are kind of shaky in their ethics. Maybe I'll just put it like that way. But I find Glen Powell a movie star. I think he's very engaging. I think he's very talented.
Totally. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm
it's
looking
great.
forward to what he
It's
wants to do in the future. If he's
same.
and I think she's like just gorgeous and super talented, and
She's very good too.
the cast
Because
is great.
I totally am. As I'm watching the film, like I say, I'm questioning, like, who is this person? What is she like? She's not giving him any indication of who she actually is. We don't have any idea who this woman is. She has killed a guy. She's going to kill this other guy, and we don't even know if she obviously is a good liar. We've seen her lie.
Yeah.
We don't know, was she lying when she met him? Is she going to kill him? And then just to the point in the movie where I'm like, where are these 2 going? Where are we going with this? Oh, we're going to live in a big house with kids. Oh, okay.
White picket fence, everything. 2 dogs. It's like, but I mean, on the one hand, I was kind of, it was a whiplash, but at the other hand, I was kind of like, I enjoy this because it's like,
I agree.
it's
I
wacky,
totally
but
agree.
it's unpredictable.
It's really wacky.
But I'll just it's E for entertaining. It's entertaining,
totally.
especially a Netflix movie, which aren't always that great. I mean, they're like most. I mean, I would see this in a movie theater. I mean, I think
totally.
I'd
I
really
would
be
totally
fine.
see
Yeah.
this in the movie theater. Yes. No, I enjoyed it very much. It is wacky in a way that I just didn't anticipate after reading the magazine article. Like I said, I thought we were on this other train. I thought we were on the kind of Black Klansman kind of train, but no.
No, which also mixed comedy, but was mostly serious. This is like
Right.
kind of
This is
equal
way
measure.
into comedy land.
Way-
yeah. I thought it was going to be more exploration about the people who are hiring him and what gets a person to that point. And I thought it was going to be a little more of that, but no.
No, we only get
just like for fun to see what kind of wig he's wearing.
Yeah, and also
which is fine.
Which
it's
is
fine, but
we only find out like when he's going to trial and he has to give his testimony. The defense
Yes.
attorneys tried to like poke holes in him and try to make him seem like he's an unethical person because he's making people, promise to commit crimes or commit to a crime. And that's why some people aren't prosecuted, because they say, well, obviously you put this idea in this person's head. So
yeah,
you have a good enough defense attorney, like anything else in America. Like if you have a good enough attorney, you'll get away with it. But I don't know. It's super fun. It's a good story.
It really is. Yeah. And I appreciate, they tell you a little bit about the real dude at the end.
Yes, and the pictures of him.
Make it clear he was not a murderer.
Yes, and make it he didn't kill anybody.
It's very fun. I'd say it's a very fun summer movie. Yeah, I just totally took my. I knew nothing about this movie going in, except for reading the article, and so yeah, I was very surprised, very very surprised, but super enjoyed it. It's super entertaining, terrific cast, very funny cast. They work really well together with their timing. I love the police chief.
Yes.
It's really good. It's really good. I would have liked more New Orleans.
Yeah, that's something they could.
That's about the most I can say.
Yeah, that would be my note too.
Like I said, I was expecting that, but I'm not mad that they didn't do what I expected. Given that they did what they did, I appreciate how they did it. And that's my only, like, if I had one little thing to nitpick about it, I wish we could have had a little more about the ambience and the backdrop of New Orleans. But I don't even know what that means.
I guess because, right, the story from Texas Monthly. So I don't know. I don't know. I enjoyed them both. I enjoyed the article.
Yes, I enjoyed both. They're both very good.
Yeah, I can't really pick one I like better because
it's hard to say because it's so different.
Yeah,
because they took it such a different direction.
I should say, by the way, we did. I posted in the show notes the link to the article, so y'all can read it for yourselves.
Oh, great! Please do, because it is very well written and it's a extremely fascinating story. It still kind of blows my mind.
Yeah.
70 convictions. That he did this 70 times and got somebody. He did it more times than that, and people got off, like you say.
Yeah, but he's like,
wow.
Yeah, and he wasn't a police officer by training. I mean, it's just he had a flair for acting and committing to a character.
Yeah. Super good.
Yeah.
I have a hard time choosing one. I think I'm edging towards a tie just because I think the man is just legendary. It's just such a good story on its own. I am gonna give it a tie.
All right, I'm gonna give it a tie as well. It works for that.
But I really enjoyed both. A good tie. We loved both.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's talk about, we're going to do something a little bit different for Pride this year, because we've covered many, many, many movies for Pride over the years. Lots of really great books and plays, and I'm trying to think if we did magazine articles for Pride. We're going to at least an American classic, I think we can call it, although I do know that these books are globally loved. For the next 2 weeks of June, here in San Diego, our Pride is in early July. So for me, it's going to even be before our Pride. We are going to be covering Armistead Maupin's Tales of the City, which was a series on PBS. Is that what it was on?
I think, it was on PBS. I don't know if it started at the BBC or not. I
can't remember all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I remember who played who and everything. Olympia Dukakis, Laura Linney. I mean,
just such a great cast.
It's such a great cast, and we'll get all into it about what these books, especially the first one, why they're so groundbreaking, why they're still so beloved. I mean, he just recently wrote, I think he's saying will be the final one. It's sort of a prequel kind of a thing. He kind of goes back in time a little bit, picks up a character who had passed away a while back. Yeah, he has written this series over many, 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 many years. So those of us who love these books really love these characters, and you really get to know them over the series. But we're going to look at the very first one and then the second one. So like really the introduction, really thinking about American culture at that time. And, even by the time they did this series, like these books were like deeply entrenched in that, like, we really knew these books. And so they really, really, really had to get it right. Like if they had misstepped even a little bit, there would have been such an outcry. But the series is phenomenal, as I recall. Oh, and it's, what's her name from Sid and Nancy?
Chloe,
Webb?
Chloe Webb.
Yeah. So we're going to have I think the first one is definitely Tales of the City, and I can't remember if the second one is More Tales of the City. I think it's More Tales of the City.
Yeah.
I think it's Tales of the City, More Tales of the City, Further Tales of the City, and then maybe Baby Cakes, and I forget the ones after that. It's a long series. Very excited to look at these again. Get into the two very different landscapes where these both the book first and then the series landed. Certainly in American culture, it's going to be super fun. So, yay.
Yeah, so it's Tales of the City. I think it's on Kindle Unlimited, too, right now.
Oh, it might be.
Yeah, I got...
Oh, for Pride Month.
Yeah, I got I got a book with all of them together, and it's over 800 pages. So, but it's the most addictive read. I mean, you just start reading these books and they just fly by. It's just such a pleasure. And the show is available many places. So we're talking about the first season, and we're going to figure out like how many episodes we're going to do and stuff. But that's going to be for Pride Month. We're going to talk about Tales of the City. So I'm Armistead Maupin. Oh, I can't wait.
I'm so excited. I'm such a fan.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're going to be doing that. Everybody, please send us your suggestions. Once again, our email is bookversusmoviepodcast@gmail.com. And Margot, where can they find you?
You can find me online at coloniabook.com, and all my social media callouts are at She's Nacho Mama. And where can they find you?
You can find me at Brooklyn Margot. That's for TikTok. And I also put clips on there on TikTok and also for Twitter. And then I'm at Brooklyn Fitchick. That's my site. And that's where I am for Instagram and Threads. Okay, everyone. And we'll be back soon with a new episode. Thank you so much for listening to the Book versus Movie podcast. We're a part of the Frolic Podcast Network. You could find more podcasts you will love at frolic.media/podcasts. You could find us on Twitter, Threads, Blue Sky, and Instagram at Book versus a Movie. Just spelled it all out. We have a Patreon page. Type in there Book vs. Movie Podcast, where you can find 8 years worth of shows. You can follow Margot D on social media at Brooklyn Margot and also Brooklyn Fitchick. You can find Margot P at She's Nacho Mama. Thank you again for listening, and please be sure to send along your suggestions for the show. Remember, the book needs to be easy to get your hands on, and the movie has to be streaming on a major platform. We will be back soon with a new episode.
Thank you.